Remember back when I was about 4. When I was 4, something happened to me with my mother. And that's when I was introduced to sex. Oral sex. And when I started doing the same thing with my younger sister, well, I told my mother, I said, I love my sister Jeannie more than sister and brother, right? And she tried to convince me, no, it's not going to happen. You know, that's not right. Yeah, that's when she take a butcher knife to you and grab a hold of it. And she says, if you don't behave yourself, I'll cut it off.
You ever had thoughts that had to do with your mom, you know, where you really felt like dicing her, you know, or making pot roast out of her? Because it would be understandable, wouldn't it?
It would be understandable.
Sure it would. I mean, what you suffered...
Those thoughts were there.
Yeah. What about with the girl a couple months later? Was there something similar about that, or was that something that you had begun to think about?
Well, I was by myself.
Yeah.
And she showed up by herself. She was on top of the bridge. She started talking. I said, what are you doing down here by yourself? You know, she said, I go where you want to go. So I pulled in my fishing poles and stuff, and put them back up on the bike. Then I started walking upstream, right? And she comes up there with me. And I don't know, just a spur of the moment.
She was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right.
Yeah. But there was a little bit of sexual stuff going on with her.
Right.
Yeah.
Shawcross admitted raping the girl before he killed her.
I was thinking about my sister Jeannie back then.
Yeah, okay. Say a little bit more about that.
That's something I don't like to talk about.
If she was just in your mind, you know, kind of an equivalent symbolically of Jeannie, a person could say, well, she would be the last person you'd want to rough up.
When I realized what I did, you know, my only thought was to get rid of her.
Otra táctica era sorprender al entrevistador. De acuerdo a Shawcross, durante su estancia en Vietnam en la guerra, él salvajemente asesinó y canibalizó a 2 mujeres vietnamitas.
So I went down the mountain on the other side, kept on going down through the swamp, and I get on the other side and I see 3 grass huts up on the side of a hill. And I see a woman coming down. Older woman, she got 3 rifles on this arm and 3 rifles on this arm, AK-47s. She's coming down a little path, maybe 6 inches wide, takes the rifles and she's putting them inside of a hollow tree. And I went up behind her and I took a machete off my pack and I hit her right in the back of the head. And it took about 3 or 4 strikes to cut the head off. And I cut a stick about 6 foot long, sharpened at both ends, and drove it into the mud, picked up the head and set it on that stick, faced it to that tree.
The detail comes very close to mirroring the kind of vengeful assault that he would like to have made on his mother.
And as I went up the trail a little farther, I see smoke coming out of the last hut. And I get up there and they got a good-sized log with steps on it. And I climb up on the log and I look in and here's a girl in there and she's making booby traps with gunpowder. And I tied her hands up, led her up into the mountain, up on the other side, tied her to a teak tree. I took the body of the other woman and I cut the leg off at the knee and at the thigh. And I skinned it out and everything. It was really about yay big around. And I ran a piece of green bamboo through the bone itself, and I roasted that leg on it. I just cooked that leg, and I kept asking that woman questions, and she kept saying she didn't understand. And I told her, I says, what you're going to see now, I'm going to do to you, right? And I bit into that meat. It was, you know, the human flesh.